The moon outside was high. The lanterns hanging along the hallway were still lit, swaying in the wind. In the room, a woman was happily dressed, wearing a red scarf, sitting on the bed waiting. The man was lying on one side of the table, as if he had fallen asleep. Suddenly he slowly opened his eyes, dazed and unable to react to the current situation. This is... Returning a few minutes earlier, Manhwa was a normal person going to work, then returned on the subway. Recently, he read a novel called I Went Against the Sky and Changed My Destiny by Cultivating Immortals. Recent developments in the story have not been very satisfying. The female protagonist in the novel was killed by the villainous boss. The male lead was very angry and chose to commit suicide with the villain, and the harems who pursued him were also sad and chose to destroy the world. The dog blood plot of this series made Manhwa angry. He threw the phone he was using on the floor. He clenched his fists, his face turned red and shouted, "What the hell is this plot developing? Surely the data is not good," so it was interrupted. Suddenly the phone fell to the floor, suddenly emitting a strange light. He suddenly covered his eyes with his hands and exclaimed, "Huh!" And just like that, he was sucked inside by that light. After waking up, he remembered this, stood up excitedly, slammed his hand on the table, and thought to himself, "So I have transformed into the male protagonist of the novel." Right at this moment, a strange creature appeared before his eyes and announced, "Welcome to Lan Shiyan continent. I am Tuku, your intelligence system, happy to serve you." Looking at the system board in front of him, he smiled complacently. Sure enough, the male lead's golden hand has arrived, but it doesn't seem very similar to the original. Why is it a chicken and not a beautiful girl? After the little chicken was activated, he continuously flew around him. He happily said, "Master, the little chicken also prepared countless prop cards and precious treasures for you." Hearing that, he happily clenched his hands into fists and silently made up his mind. "Oh my god, isn't that invincible? This time I won't let that terrible episode happen again." He turned back to look at the bride sitting on the bed, silently calculating, remembering that when Langleet married his wife, it was the beginning of the novel. If that was the case, it would be better to push the boat along with the flow. Thinking of doing it, he couldn't wait and jumped towards the bride, his mouth still full of drool, shouting loudly, no yet, we should get married. I will treat you well for the rest of my life." He walked forward and lifted the red scarf. His hand suddenly stopped, his face also turned pale, his mouth blurted out, "Huh!" Behind the towel, a beautiful young woman appeared before his eyes, but it was not the person he imagined, but the villainous Jilin. She looked at him and smiled evilly. "Is it not very good to call another woman's name on the wedding night, my husband Manhwa?" Listening to her, he confusedly explained, "Your Highness has misunderstood." After that, Manhwa quickly stepped back, panicking. "What? I'm not Langleet. Damn, isn't this a scam?" Manhwa looked closely at the reflection from the mirror in the corner. He was startled to realize that I was a waste of Manhwa with a naturally pure body and no cultivation at all. He looked at the woman in front of him and remembered Jilin, the big villain in the original, took advantage of Manhwa and rebelled after his death. With his powerful cultivation and bloodshed the entire Manhwa dynasty, becoming female Emperor Zichdong. Seeing that he didn't have any further action, Lin only opened her red lips and lovingly called out, "Husband." She held the glass of wine in her hand and kept urging him, "It's not early anymore, let's drink this glass of wine." Then, after getting married, Manhwa awkwardly smiled and accepted the glass of wine in Jilin's hand, silently revealing her intentions in her heart. "Don't think I don't know, there is an aphrodisiac in this glass of wine. Today I will have her legs broken, and then threaten her to help her take revenge." Being made into a separate furnace by her, in the end she sucked out her positive energy and died. What should I do now? Jilin quickly hugged the medicine. Her heart was still haunted. Her whole body was stiff and confused, thinking, "I don't think I know what to do." Right at this critical moment, Tuka like a savior appeared and announced, "Jilin, blackening level 30%, favorability -100. Props that can be used, conversion card, cultivation card rank. Second level mission, increase Jilin's favorability by 1. Mission success reward, unlock weapon inventory, give 3 random prop cards." Manhwa did not hesitate at all, silently shouting in his heart, "Exchange my wine and chi spirit." The switch card activated effectively according to his command, and in the blink of an eye, the 2 glasses of wine were exchanged. At this time, Manhwa successfully held a glass of wine that did not contain drugs. The little system chicken flew around and announced, "Master, I have used the conversion card for you. Now the glass of wine in your hand is no longer poisoned. Manhwa listened with peace of mind and immediately tilted his head back to drink the entire glass of wine. He raised his cup and shouted loudly towards Jilin, "This is really good wine. The lady should quickly drink it." Seeing that, she smiled wickedly. Without thinking too much, Lin also raised the glass of wine to drink, leaving Doc lying next to her, smiling sinisterly and staring at her. "That's great. Wait for the medicine to take effect. When your desire reaches its peak, you will come and beg me." At that time, he. After drinking the entire glass of wine, the medicine quickly takes effect. Jilin wondered uncomfortably. "Why is it like this? Why is it so hot?" Jilin's face turned red, her hands clutching her stomach, thinking, "Why is this happening? It's obvious that I gave him the love potion. Why did I drink it? It must have been the medicine man who was doing something wrong. It's worth it." Hate. Thinking about it, she quickly ran to open the bathroom door. Jilin rushed straight inside. As soon as she took off her clothes, Jilin angrily cursed to herself. "If you wear medicinal herbs, you deserve to die. When the effects of the medicine wear off, I will let him know." Jilin's face turned red while soaking. After a while, the uncomfortable feeling in her body still did not subside at all. She angrily thought, "Why are you still so uncomfortable? Why is the effect of this medicine so strong?" Manhwa looked intently. Jilin suddenly had a nosebleed, secretly proud in her heart. "That's great, I'm truly a genius." Jilin became more and more uncomfortable. She kept wiggling in the water. "Why is this? It's impossible to calm down like this." Manhwa was startled and wiped away the blood, regaining his composure and silently calculating. No, I almost forgot about the matter. I didn't expect that the noble spirit up there would have such a side. But now is a good time, I must catch her now." Thinking about it, he immediately raised 3 fingers to agree with her. "My lady, since we are both married, I think we also need to agree on 3 things. Jilin leaned back, her eyes vaguely responding to him. "Then you leave." She gently waved her hand to signal Manhwa. Seeing her actions, he happily approached, thinking in his heart, "That's great, now she can't resist, I can say anything." "Will agree." But it didn't take long for her to be satisfied. Who would have thought that when he arrived, she suddenly changed her attitude. Her hand reached out to grab his collar, and she became less pretentious. "Come in here." The medicine man's face suddenly changed, and he was pulled by her neck into the bathtub. The eldest brother sank underwater. Only then did he realize, "Stop it. I forgot she is a big villain boss. She definitely won't act like normal. Regardless, it seems like we can only fight hard." Jilin also sank into the water and rushed closer to Manhwa. The 2 people's lips touched and suddenly immersed in the wonderful feeling. Manhwa was stunned, feeling that this was the feeling of a woman, not expecting her body to be so soft. "Looks like my first time will have to be left here. It won't be in vain." Jilin kissed and felt how this guy had such a strong aura on his body. A stream of yin energy surrounded the spirit. She comfortably accepted it. "His yin energy was madly rushing into my body, as if filling my whole body. How could there be beautiful yin energy in this world? So wonderful. After tasting this beauty, everything in the world seems to become very tasteless. Yet I have already broken through the clearing of the 5 heavens to the stage of fusion." The changes in Manhwa's body only made Lin startled, but her hair has already changed color. Unexpectedly, the little chicken system appeared with an information panel. 30% blackening level, -99 favorability, usable props, upgrade card, level 2 quest level. Mission, increase the favorability of the spirit by 1. Mission completion reward, unlock weapon warehouse, give 3 random prop cards. He looked at the notice board, frowned and thought, "Are you cheating people? Is that just a point of favor? If you want to increase it to 1, you have to do it 100 more times." Jilin is still enjoying the wonderful feeling of absorbing the negative energy of Manhwa. Both of them were unaware that the entire action was secretly monitored by a maid. She secretly looked from the door, planning to quickly go and report to the queen. That night in the queen's palace. At this time, a sudden voice in the palace rang out. "What? You said the 6th prince has a pure yin body?" The maid kneeling below respectfully responded, "Yes, I just saw with my own eyes. When the 6th prince entered the room, the yin emitted was very terrifying, so I dared to risk my life to go to bed at night." Report. The person sitting on the throne is the queen of the Manhwa dynasty, Manhwa. After receiving the maid's confirmation, Manhwa felt a bit thoughtful. "I didn't expect this trash to have such a special physique. Now that I think about it, I think it was a bargain for the main clan. Since his mother, the white concubine, fell out of favor, he has no longer had the opportunity to compete with Hong Hoa. But to be sure, the best way is still to destroy the grass completely. Thinking so, she immediately stood up and waved her hand to order. Transmit the decree of this palace. From tomorrow, spread the news that the sixth prince has a pure body throughout the court. After hearing the order, the maid respectfully bowed her head. Slave obeys. Early the next morning, the sun's rays shone everywhere. Manhwa.k woke up from yesterday's great war when the sunlight outside shone into the room. He sat up, his face a bit bewildered. It's morning. He thought about his own situation in the original, where the male lead's legs were both broken and had to sit in a wheelchair. After turning his shirt back on, he looked down at his legs and couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Luckily, his legs could still move. It seemed like he had temporarily escaped a disaster. After putting on neat clothes and calculating in my head, the important task now is to quickly increase Jilin's favorability towards me. Thinking about it, he suddenly looked towards Jilin, who was sleeping soundly on the bed. Sometime after the wedding, Manhwa.k also got used to the current situation. Today, he took his wife and maid for a walk around the street, thinking endlessly. Finally, I saved my little life. But why is my favorability still increasing so slowly? Thinking of this, he glanced at Jilin's information board, blackening level 30%, favorability negative 95, props that can be used, card to increase cultivation. Making Manhwa.k couldn't help but sigh. His face was a bit pensive, but these past few days he seemed to have understood the system well. This system has all kinds of props. It can not only be used on other people. Tuku now appeared behind Manhwa.k, but he didn't pay any attention. His focus was now on the system panel in front of him. Available props, cards to increase cultivation, reunion, increase a lot of sympathy. Manhwa.k raised his hand to his chin and looked at the cards on the board. Continuing his train of thought, he could still use it for himself. It's just that there are a few props that seem to have limitations and can't be used right now, probably because I haven't completed the mission yet. Jilin saw that he kept falling behind absent-mindedly, so she softly called out, "Husband." She frowned, silently doubting herself. This Manhwa.k obviously couldn't sense any cultivation level on his body, but it gave people a profound and unpredictable feeling. Manhwa.k suddenly woke up and responded, come here, my lady. I just closed the system panel and secretly exclaimed in my heart, worthy of a woman who will become a villainous boss in the future. Her aura is truly amazing. He quickened his steps just in time to pass by a pair of men and women with extremely elegant looks. The man's name is the second prince of the Manhwa dynasty, Manhwa.k. When Manhwa.k saw him, she turned her head slightly and sarcastically said, "Isn't this sixth brother? On your big wedding day, I didn't come to congratulate you. I'm very sorry." Even though Manhwa.k didn't want to, he still stopped walking and politely replied, "Brother is busy with many important things. Your younger brother's marriage is just an insignificant matter. You don't need to keep it in your heart." Who would have thought that Manhwa.k had no intention of letting him go? I smirked and looked at Jilin. This is my brother's wife, right? I have long heard that this Jilin is not a human. A ghost is not a ghost. Today it's not wrong to meet face to face. Jilin heard what he said, angrily turned around and shouted, "Ugly man, what are you talking about?" At that time, murderous intent arose in her heart. Manhwa.k, I must kill you. Angered by the second prince's sarcastic words. At this time her blackness level increased rapidly from 30% to 35%. Her red eyes stared at Manhwa.k on the other side. Face. Manhwa.k was immediately choked up by her scolding, unable to speak. "You, over here." Manhwa.k immediately felt bad in his heart. "I'm sorry, the blackening has increased. If we don't go anymore, I'm afraid she will send this second prince to heaven." Thinking so, he immediately moved closer and held Manhwa.k's hand to advise him. "Brother, don't be angry. If you have offended me, please forgive me." Manhwa.k was still unwilling and tried to speak again, but, not letting him finish his sentence, Manhwa.k quickly interrupted. "My wife hasn't had her brother's turn to judge this or that yet. We have other things to do, so we'll say goodbye here." Having finished speaking, without waiting for Manhwa.k to react, Manhwa.k pulled Jilin's hand and left. Manhwa.k was behind him, looking at him with strange eyes, thinking in his heart, why does this old Luke feel like he has changed into a different person? Could that rumor be true? Manhwa.k walked a short distance, looked at Jilin and thought to herself, so, you were cooled to death by me just now, right? Let's see how much the favorability has increased. He stared at her face, still wearing an indifferent expression. The information panel did not have any changes.